Hi and good afternoon everyone. So this is group 2 with Arjan, Nathalie and Josh, and we're looking at a proposal for the Brisbane Living Laboratory. So the site is situated within West End and is in close proximity to major amenities such as Suncorp Stadium, hospitals such as Greenslopes Private Hospital and the Mater, as well as other green or recreational areas such as South Bank and Goma. The demographic of the area is particularly focused towards a younger generation with a median age of around 30 years old within South Brisbane and West End, and with approximately between 2,000 and 1,400 families between these two suburbs, giving the impression that there are a lot of younger families situated within this inner city suburb location. And as we can see here, there are actually quite a lot of apartments being produced within South Brisbane and West End when compared to the greater Brisbane region. Looking at climate, in summer we are facing a majority of eastern winds from summer. However, there are certain buildings that are upcoming and current that are actually blocking these kind of easterly breezes during summer, whilst also somewhat blocking the breezes from the southeast. Looking at the winter season, majority of cool breezes are coming from the southwest, and future development doesn't seem to be blocking too much of these kind of winds, so it might be desirable to kind of have some systems in place to kind of block these cool breezes that are coming from the southwest as well. In equinox, we are also receiving breezes particularly from the south and southeast, which are also currently being blocked and will be blocked by future developments that are up and coming as well. So flooding is quite important in the area. So at the moment our site is impacted with overland flow and flooding. Major events could see anything below RL10 to be flooded quite significantly. So we have produced some techniques and we have some techniques in place, such as kind of bioretention basins or systems such as smart trees to kind of counter these kind of events of stormwater and kind of mitigate the damage.
So onto our proposal. We've made sure that our building or proposal will be climate responsive, inspired by local place and character, work with and enhance natural systems, landscape, character and biodiversity, create well-defined, legible and connected streets and spaces, so creating kind of livable areas, diverse development forms and density, so a lower density for this area, embedded opportunities for adaptation and change, so having a prefabricated system can allow for that in the future, so designing for future
scenarios.
Yes. Lead by example and engaging effectively. The concepts that drive our design were to lift up the building to create an open and walkable ground floor plane. This will create an interaction between the streetscape and the podium to allow for not only the residents but the community to access amenities and facilities as well. Connectivity, by creating voids in space to allow light and ventilation, can also allow for people to be able to see each other and create that sense of community that you're living in a place with other people. Walkability, so for the ground floor plane again, the idea is to have it very open and flexible so that it can adapt to future events, as well as being quite open for the community to use at all times. Passive ventilation strategies, by allowing open floor plates and operable louvers so that passive ventilation is prioritized over AC and mechanical cooling and heating systems. And then natural light wells, so having voids and breaks within the floor plate to allow light to penetrate the floor plates more easily.
So here you can see where our site is situated. We are site 2 within a wider precinct of 7 sites where we address Montague Road.
Yeah, so the major metrics to kind of take away from this development is that we have a site development density of 445 dwellings per hectare at a rate where we have 100 dwellings on site as well, with the building comprising up to 12 levels including the roof level and a building height of 51.8 meters.
Yeah, our proposal provides strong street addresses to Montague Road, aimed at sort of inviting the public in with these large open spaces with double height spaces extending the street. As you enter into the road, you meet the public podium plaza, which helps sort of navigate people through the site into the wider precinct behind. Travelling through the precinct or the public arcade, you'll reach the internal laneway. And this sort of aspect of the site is kind of important because it's where all the other developments will meet, and it's sort of a peak social interactions within the site. Looking at our common space designs, each typical floor plate on the residential levels offer an experience for residents to sort of escape their sort of tight and small internal spaces by providing shared outdoor gardens as well as sort of social interactive corridors. Within each floor plate we also provide 2 home pods. One provides a more quiet setting when people want to retreat, and the other provides a social home pod where residents can enjoy meals together in a social atmosphere.
So on ground floor is where all the services of the building are consolidated and hidden from the public view. We've got sufficient area for bike storage, bike workshop, storage facilities for the units as they are quite small, end of trip facilities for the cyclists or people using these facilities, and then all of the building services such as control room, bin room, pump room, and pool filter room next to the loading bay. Yep.
Moving up the plan, we have our podium level. It provides a permeable landscape where residents can sort of travel through the building, as we mentioned earlier. Program at this level sort of activates the laneway, utilising the public pool, a gym and yoga space, as well as the residential lobby and a cafe. Moving up the plan, we've housed shared working spaces where residents can work, as well as the public. These spaces overlook Montague Road as well as the internal precinct. We have 2 typical arrangement plans. The first you can see here, indicating home pods, 2-bedroom units, as well as single parent units. Moving up the plan, the sort of floor plate just changes slightly, providing another alternating shared space for residents. Our roof plan highlights a rooftop garden as well as indicating where solar panels will be used to help power the building. Our general section here is cutting through our Montague Road entry, indicating sort of the double height space as you enter the space and where you might transfer into the rear of the precinct. Again, the section just moves slightly along, cutting in front of and along the cafe and residential lobby. Our long section here cuts through our internal corridor, showing the bridges to people's apartments as well as voids, and highlighting where our express services are running down the building. And this next section is cutting through the arcade at ground floor as well as the units above. Our apartment designs have been based on efficiency ratios or efficient sizes, and it's all about sort of adaptability throughout the day. So we have 2 different apartment types for single bedroom units. One is gold star, as indicated here, and the other is not. It has a bit more space for residents and it's just a bit more adaptable with more space for flexibility. Our 2-bedroom units have had the same logic applied to be adaptable throughout the day. And this is the first arrangement or first type, followed by the second and how they might adapt throughout the day. Access and egress. This quickly just highlights how we comply, showing that the major, travel distances are maxing out at 20 meters and 19 meters, and this bottom diagram just shows how people travel through the site depending on where they would like to go and where you might be discharged by fire escapes.
So on lower ground floor, resource recovery and loading, we've got places for residents to arrive through the loading bay to store their materials and to enter the building. We have sufficient services loading in from the bay to come up and service the building where required. And then the bin chute has been incorporated into the front fire stairwell that leads down to a bin collection room, which can be moved out for the garbage truck to collect via the loading bay also, as well as provisions for, in case of emergencies, fire protocols are able to access directly the fire pump room and the fire stairs from the front of the building.
Our building uses a hybrid timber construction system. We're using concrete for the podium and basement levels, as well as our lift cores and fire escapes just help increase the structural integrity of the building. Our upper levels are constructed of volumetric CLT apartment modules. These are stacked above a post and beam system which helps carry the load or transfer the load back towards the concrete podium. We've selected engineered timber for its environmental and sustainable aspects, as well as its rapid construction and its lower impact on surrounding developments during construction. The following diagram here explains our structural logic of the loads being transferred from the volumetric CLT towards the basement, as well as highlighting where additional structure and bracing systems may be required.
Building utilizes the sawtooth roof design, which allows for kind of these multiple kind of number of skilling roofs that capture water inwards towards kind of the central void, and so creating kind of a centralized water reticulation system. And we've done some calculations where with kind of the roof surface area of around 976 square meters, we can catch approximately 918,000 liters per year. And this could be centralized and is exposed through the void system, as shown in previous drawings, to kind of express and connect back to kind of the industrial background of West End and South Brisbane. The energy system, we are using currently a 50 kilowatt electric system for the solar panels. So we have 220 solar panels, and we've kind of done a rough calculation of the amount of usage or the annual energy bill that the building will use, and we've calculated with each apartment using 8 kilowatts per system, the bill would be roughly around $116,000, and this electric system can save up to $30,000 with this many panels as well, and these are also exposed. And finally, we have the mechanical system, again the water reticulation system for the hot water system, as well as kind of grey water is kind of exposed as well, whilst also kind of using the void system itself to create this kind of stacked ventilation through the apartments to kind of release the hot air as it rises up towards our roof as well.
So our environmental overlays respond to solar, wind and landscaping throughout the building. Each floor plate is able to be operated via louvers to allow passive ventilation into each of the units and dwellings. We have solar shading in certain parts of the building to allow for lower solar heat gain. We'll specify that glazing would be low E, so we would have less solar heat gain entering the units along the Montague Road facade, which will receive the most sunlight after 12 p.m. Our flooding and water systems design response to the need for flood water protection by utilizing deep planting strategies on ground floor, while water resistant materials such as concrete, so that the building is not damaged during the event of a flood. The materials used on the building include CLT through the structural materials, concrete blockwork on the ground floor and podium levels, fibre cement weatherboards to protect the building from weathering along the outsides, and then a combination of bronze and black powder-coated aluminium has been used for detailing on balustrades and glazing, as well as certain tiles and crazy pave on ground floor.
Thanks for listening.